Okay. Welcome to our honesty salon. I want to say something that comes up in some groups at the beginning of a group session, and that is people aren't fully present. They're nursing some kind of unfinished business from last time or from a conversation they had earlier. They're wishing that we could go out of the structure of the honesty salon so they could report an insight that they've had about themselves or a success or maybe a not success. You with me here? It's like people don't just come in and become a blank slate. So today, first of all, I'm going to just see a show of hands, and then I'm going to allow people to speak about either one of those things I just said. So I'll go back over basically two themes. One, how many people, now that you are calling attention to it, now that I am calling attention to it, how many people realize they're not fully present because of some fear or lack of safety or something unfinished? Anything sort of like that, from a past conversation, not necessarily here. Okay, one person. The other thing is,
I thought it was just you meant from the group. If I have something from another conversation,
yeah, if it's really here, if you kind of weren't able to like let it go, it's still kind of there, taking your attention. So do you have one of those, Barbara?
I have a situation that is taking my attention.
Yes. Okay, so it's good to notice that. The other question was, has anybody had like an insight about yourself or a discovery or something like that, or a success that you kind of wished you could share with this group or would like to? So show of hands on that one.
Yeah,
I'm not looking for those. It's not like I want to spend time on that, but I want to kind of presence that as a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just one person has like an insight or success or something, or nobody. One little. Okay. So now that I've asked you that much, just check in. Would it be really helpful for you to share what that is? We're not going to work it. We're not going to like help you clear it. But sometimes just naming it, like I had a conversation with my daughter and my heart's still beating fast or something like that. That at that level, this is an experiment. So how many people feel like if you could just speak it, maybe it would help? So show of hands again. Okay, let's do an experiment here and we'll see. First of all, before I get you guys sharing, how many people hear that noise that I would call an annoying to the ears noise? Anybody got any idea of where that's coming from? It sometimes happens when a mic gets hit or something like that. Well,
I just turned my air filter off. Did that change anything?
Not sure yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Crispy, will you take a turn?
Okay.
Sharing whatever it was. Help you get more present.
I'm let's see, today's Wednesday. 3 days into mourning the death of my best friend. Sudden. And I found him dead, and there's a lot of politics, family politics, and mourning going on all mixed together.
Thank you. And can you say something about how you feel now being witnessed?
I was I'm relieved that I could say something and it seemed okay. I could say something short. uh,
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
feeling less uh, tension.
Thank you. Now, people may be impacted by that. We can share that once we get into the Honesty Salon format. This is just our little clearing session. Barbara, do you have a statement like that or your own version of that?
Yes, and I I want to make a short statement and not tell a story. And I'm having difficulty with that. But I was completely enraged last night and today, yesterday, last night, and today.
Hmm.
And I wrote about it, and a lot of the anger and rage left me. There's still some remnants that I think are here, and I'm glad I'm able to say it before we start so that it doesn't come out sideways
Hmm.
in a group. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Barbara. And notice how you feel being witnessed. And you saw Darlene go like this. I want to clarify what I think this is, just so we all know. I imagine that Darlene did this out of appreciation. And I always thought this was, I don't know, Neil, you can maybe help me with this, but I always thought it was more like, I'm feeling the same thing right now type of thing. Neil, help me. Or
Yeah.
anybody who's been to MKP, they do it there too. But Neil.
Yeah, that's my understanding is expression of resonance, but it does seem to have become expression of appreciation.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, yeah, shared experience, something like that.
Okay. Great. Okay. So what Darlene did was within what that signifies. I
Thank
really
you.
just
Thank
didn't
you.
know. So now we're all clear. Darlene appreciates Barbara, but she's not I'm guessing she's not necessarily resonating like, boy, am I carrying some anger, right? Okay. So now I'd like to go into our group process, starting out at least with the sentence stems, like we've done pretty significantly last time. And I would like to see who's willing to go first, and then I'll give you an order once somebody volunteers to go first. So that, you'd be using step one. Right now I'm feeling or sensing. All right, well, I was gonna say Kalina, so let me have Kalina go first and then Barbara. Kalina, Barbara, Neil, Darlene, Robert, Crispy. Okay.
Okay.
Go on down. We'll just go on down these stems.
Right now,
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's okay. Right now, I'm feeling a sense of physical relief because I just changed my, wait, no, now I'm going into a story. Right now I'm feeling a sense of physical relief in my belly and low back.
Right now, my attention is on my chest and my heart, which seems to be more relaxed and relieved of anger.
Right now, I'm noticing the taste of oatmeal, bananas in my mouth, and a full sensation in my belly.
now I'm feeling frustrated because I can't find that worksheet on my phone.
I can't hear you.
Right now I'm feeling frustrated because I cannot find the worksheet on my phone, and I've been looking since, sorry, story. Okay. Thanks, Kalina, for modeling that.
Thank you.
So I'm going to suggest that each time it's your turn, just improvise with sentence stems that are relevant for you. Like, now that I've said that, I feel, or looking at you guys, I feel, or right now in my body, I feel, stuff like that. You know, that gives you some stuff to improvise from. Okay, Robert.
Right now, when I was listening to people about what they were feeling, things they wanted to share, I was listening to a voice in me that immediately felt that somehow I was not doing it right. That, oh my God, I didn't have anything to share. I must be deficient. So I'm also feeling some humor, kind of being able to laugh at myself, saying, what a predictable pattern of control of that. And so it was kind of delight to actually have some humor rather than just living the feeling of not being quite up to speed.
So is it me?
Mhm.
And am I on number 6? A moment ago, I was feeling very pressured in terms of organizing thoughts and trying to figure out how to present myself. And I'm noticing that it's less now, but it's still there in the background.
Okay, I want to change up not the order. The order will be the same for a little while, and then we'll go out of order after a bit. But I'm going to change up the order. But when it's your turn, if you would prefer to give feedback in the form, when I heard you say, I felt, noticed in my body, said to myself, you know, one of those to somebody, you can do that instead of what's on the number. So don't worry too much about the number now. You can, you know, keep going down for a while, but you could also give feedback to someone who has spoken before you, not right before you necessarily. It could be 5 minutes ago. So
Would you repeat what you said, please?
yes. If you don't want to do one of the stems on this sheet and you prefer to respond to what somebody else has said up to now in the group,
Yeah, but I wanted you to give the stem.
you can do that. The stem is, and it's here on the sheet. Let's see.
Oh.
It's number 11. When I heard you say, when I saw that bit, I felt, and you can also say, I said to myself, pick one or the other.
Okay.
So we're back to Kalina.
I notice that I'm feeling a little frustrated.
When I hear you say you're frustrated, I imagine that it was me, that it was my fault.
In my body, I notice a warm glow in my hands and some discomfort in my belly.
Scared in the first round and stopped yourself from going into story. I felt a sense of elation and joy and relief that this is a process and it's okay where everybody is in the process. And that it's really fun when you can catch yourself and kind of do a redo or whatever that looks like. Feeling gratitude for that.
And Chris, when I heard you share the pain of, well, I'm sorry, what I imagined would be the pain of finding somebody you cared for. I had my own self-talk of feeling that I would be feeling sad in that situation.
Am I up? Robert, when I heard you start to say that you were going to respond to me, I noticed that I was tensing up in my arms and instead of my arms and along my torso. Uh, I feel really vulnerable, and I was relieved at what you said. And I'm wondering now, my self-talk is, I wonder what's in there that he would have said that would have made me fearful.
Keep going around one more round on this.
Okay. Barbara, when I heard you say that you immediately assumed it was something you had done or that it was you that I was frustrated with, and I'm paraphrasing, I felt a lot of warmth for you, and I feel moved to tell you that is also a pattern I have. So I felt a lot of resonance and connection with you.
Kalima, hearing you say that you could resonate with that and that it's something you have dealt with, I'm paraphrasing. Also, my self-talk is, see, you're not alone and it's okay to be you.
I want connection, to be closer to everyone here, to feel, seems that I want, but I may actually feel a deep peace inside of me and around me. You're muted.
I'm sorry. I noticed I wish I had a worksheet to look at because I'm drawing a blank on what to say next. And I feel like that was cheating.
Kalina, when I heard you said that you were frustrated, and then you ended it with a period, I found myself kind of squirming with feeling that somehow I wanted to find out more information. But then I started, my self-talk was that, wow, you don't necessarily have to have an explanation for all feelings, which is kind of a story I tell myself, that you can just have a feeling without it being justified, explained, rationalized. So I was impressed by that.
Something I'm afraid or hesitant to reveal is more details about what I'm struggling with because it's unresolved and it feels like it could come out in ways that are easily misunderstood in a very short version of my what I'm working with.
Let's keep going around.
Um, Robert, when I heard you say that you wanted more explanation, and also that you you were impressed, but that I didn't. Although in my head, when I heard the word impressed, I took that as more of like amusement. But I feel moved to say thank you, and also to acknowledge that, yeah, I couldn't think of anything else to say that wasn't a story. And I'm also compelled to say now that I'm trying to practice that feelings are fleeting. So feeling frustrated is something that can just come and go.
When I hear you say that, I wanted to say something to Neil, but now I have to say something to you, because when I heard you say that, the feelings come and go, I realized and I felt, well, anger and rage must come and go too. It's a feeling. So that's great. Thank you for that. Thank you. I felt happy. I feel happy that my anger is going. And can I say one more thing, or do I have to wait till the next time?
I think you can say it. I want you to be able to be present, not hanging on to something.
Oh, okay. So when Susan said something about Neil getting up at 9 in the morning, or something about 9, I'm curious. I'm curious as to where you are from, what city you're from, or what state you're from. that, that, that time was brought up. Okay, so it's just a curiosity.
So when I hear you say that, Barbara, I feel a desire to respond. I'm in Hawaii, so yeah, I'm at least 3 hours behind everyone here. And I just want to say something so that I'm also not hanging on to it, something that I've been with since, Chris, you spoke, since you said that on check-in. When you said that you found your friend dead, I felt it physically as if I had been struck in my chest. And my mind just goes blank. And an image of my mother right after she passed came to mind. I want to go just a little further. It's as if this hole opened in the group, deep chasm, like this breath of another reality. It's my experience of that.
When I hear you say that, I feel very connected and warm and teary and smiley. And sad too.
It's your turn, Darlene. We'll just finish this round and then we'll mix it up a bit.
I was hoping I would get away with not saying anything. Barbara, when I heard you say that you realize anger could be an emotion, even rage could be an emotion that just passes. I said to myself, she's having an epiphany that could really create a shift in her life. And it was really awesome to witness that moment.
Darlene, oh, I'm sorry. Can I
Oh,
respond?
please do.
Yeah, we might as well end the.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll talk later. Robin.
Fine, because there's movement in a different direction. I want to go with that. Barbara, you go ahead and respond. And then let's say we're no longer doing this in order once Barbara shares. And we can still experiment with these sentence stems or any other thing that represents your present feeling, sensation, self-talk, want. Okay.
So, Darlene, I'm having a hard time remembering what you said right now. So,
It's okay to ask for help. I'll give you a little prompt there to ask her to repeat it.
all right. So, Darlene, could you repeat what you said, I guess?
Sure. Barbara, when I heard you say that you realize anger and even rage could simply be passing through you, I'm definitely paraphrasing. I said to myself, that's an epiphany and could create a life-changing shift for her.
So, when I hear you say that, I feel my body getting alivened and excited, and my chest is like my heart's pounding because I feel like it is an epiphany because it is an epiphany because normally I push rage down with food or other addictions that I have. I push it down rather than letting myself feel it. And forgetting that it's an epiphany. And I really appreciate what you said. I'm grateful. Thank you.
So Neil and Chris, as I listened to both of your stories around loss, I found that I kind of drifted to some recent episodes I've had where I've had to be talking to some family members, and I saw their pain, and I imagine that both of you in your own ways may be feeling some similar pain, and my heart kind of reaches out to that.
I'm going to join in from now on too. I notice my heart beating more regularly than it was a minute ago. My heart rate slowing down. And I imagine that I'm more fully here now.
I feel I'm sitting more comfortably in the chair.
When I hear you say your heart rate slowing down seems to be interpreted as feeling more here, and maybe you feel like you're more here. I smiled and thought, wow, I seem to, when I'm more present, it seems like I'm more activated, and that I have to contemplate that. Why would I have that thought?
Crispy, hearing you say what you just said, I had the delayed self-talk. Actually, sometimes when my heart rate goes up, I'm more here. It's like sometimes that's me also.
Being here with you, with the group, in the group, being in the group. Right now, I notice a cloudiness in my mind, and some what is this? Similar sense in my body, but it's not around thoughts. It's more cloudiness in my feelings. And there's a slight voice, a quiet voice that wants to penetrate this. Wondering about it, okay with it, but also wanting to clear it.
Neil, hearing you say what you said, especially when you said wants to penetrate it, I notice my attention going toward you in a really focused way, like laser focus. Just my attention is on Neil. And I notice you smiling.
Thing I want to share is that I feel really awkward with a shift in my relationship with this group. I'm noticing that I used to, this used to be a higher priority in the nowness. It used to be like, wow, here I get a chance to, and I've been spending the last 3 days, one conversation after another, and I'm sort of like burned out, and it's different. And I feel some fear that it'll be, uh, it feels negative, like this group is a lower priority. It feels, I feel awkward, and uh, I don't want to try to explain it anymore.
Christy, hearing your share just now and then watching your body language afterwards, I imagine you feel a sense of relief at saying that. And I don't know if that's true. And I feel grateful to have been able to witness it. And I also want to tell everyone, my computer just told me it's about to die. So I'm gonna grab my power cable. So you're gonna see me get up, but I'll be right back and I can still listen.
Say that you felt a shift with the group I felt a sense of relief because I also feel a sense of shift in my relationship toward the group. And it seems like everyone's kind of quiet today. And I thought it was just me and my fault, maybe. So I'm glad that it's not that it's a bad thing or has to be fixed, but I'm glad it's not just me feeling a shift.
Darlene, one thing that you kind of brought up, something following along with what Chris was saying and also with what Neil, with the cloudiness. One of the last points on Susan's 10 truths is to try to be comfortable with silence. And having read that and then kind of experiencing in this group, but what a challenge it is for me to let there be silence, and also how freeing it is when I don't have to take responsibility for the group. So it's kind of touching on the edge of kind of anxieties of wanting to control, and that somehow silence means something's not right, when, you know, in many respects, perhaps that's exactly what's needed.
Robert, when I hear you speak about silence and say, you know, especially what you said at the end, maybe that's just what's needed. I have a judgment or a theoretical insight that that I have to keep talking sometimes to get things accomplished or to make a decision. And the opposite is true. And that's what I got from your speaking. I have to make a decision this week, and being silent, this is what I'm feeling right now anyway, that quieting my body as it is right now and being silent allows my inner guidance to come through and help me make decisions. So I appreciate what you said.
And Barbara, when I actually listen to you and I look at your body, I have a sense of some calmness that I've not seen. And I may be imagining it, but you seem to be sitting more comfortably in your chair. And is that right?
I think it is. I think it goes back to Kalina's talk about, no, not Kalina, it was actually Darlene saying that I've had I can't think of the word she used. A what?
I think epiphany.
Epiphany. Yes. And I'm so sorry, my memory, I feel guilty when I don't remember things. I feel ashamed when I don't remember things. And that comes over me. And so I have that guilt right now. But I agree with you. I do feel more comfortable. And I think it's because of the epiphany over the you know, I do, because of what Kalina had said about you know, expressing feelings and that they pass. Anger has passed and I can relax. I'm relaxed. Thank you, Robert.
Barbara, when you said you feel shame when you don't remember things, I feel tender and very close to you. I notice a desire to, I notice I've been building up things I want to say, and I'm feeling a little full right now. So I also want to say, Chris, I felt awe when you said that your sense of being in the group is different. I'm paraphrasing. This is maybe more my experience. Because of previous conversations, that was my interpretation of what you said. I felt, I resonated with that, and it brought clarity to my cloudiness. So I just want to express my appreciation. The awe was Chris's, just this is my self-talk describing my experience. Right after I said that, wow. Thank you.
When you say that, I'm surprised. I had no idea. So I'm happy and connected. I feel happy and connected.
Darlene, when you said something about everyone's kind of quiet today, and I actually think that was your word, your phrase, I says to myself, I wonder if Darlene had an expectation. So this is, I'm imagining, Darlene had some kind of expectation, and then this is what she's getting, and this is what she's expecting.
Darlene, I also was, I'm kind of dancing around that comment too. It's kind of running a loop, or not, it's not running a loop in my head. It stood out when I heard you say it, that we were all a little bit quiet today. And just now I noticed myself sitting here kind of looking off into the distance. And I said to myself, I am very contemplative today.
With
Kalina, when I hear you say that, I I imagine or interpret that it wasn't quietness, but it was a state of, for me, a state of spiritual awakening, or like what you had said. I forgot the word you used. I'm sorry, but so I resonate with the word you said, and also want to bring in the sense of spirit and contemplation. Thank you.
when I heard Susan respond to what Darlene had said and about the expectation, I was struck with my own dynamic of silence. And I noticed that that was one of the things I've noticed in the last week that I'm haunted by, is that the silence wasn't like, well, we don't have much to say. The silence sometimes feels pregnant with something's under the surface, and I don't. I also am confused about how much mind reading is helpful, because sometimes it seems helpful to me when someone says, "Are you thinking something else?" Or and other times it's like you're trying to meet each other's minds, and it feels like a net crossing or boundary crossing. So I've been contemplating that almost this whole time about where's the boundary, and there is some tension in it, and there's a sense that I'm holding back, and and that could be detected. So I'm wondering if you've sensed anything about maybe an undercurrent that's not expressed, or is it just sort of like boredom? I'm wondering what you're seeing.
Barbara, when I hear you bring up spirit, I feel a very deep resonance. I feel sensation in my chest. And a voice inside of me just saying yes. And I recognize that is some of the shift in me as well, is some of the epiphanies I've been having over the last few weeks that are really making a difference in my life. And Crispy, when you mention conversations with other people and Susan questions my expectation, I noticed there's also that I've been having some very intense conversations one-on-one that I don't expect to have in a group. And so it's okay. And I'm really appreciating the silence now of the group as a spiritual force, because I'm feeling it as such. And it's really, really beautiful.
Darlene, I'm sorry, Robert. You go
That's
ahead.
actually, you started, so I'll follow after you.
Darlene, when you resonated with what Crispy said and articulated your own experience, I felt delight and resonance, and a particular connection with you because you're one of the people who I've been going to depth. I noticed that when I say that, my chest contracts some, belly tightens. And there's something more I want to say about being in the group, experience of being in the group with this. I'm feeling overwhelmed, but it's there's distress and eustress, right? On that eustress, it's from like overwhelm of joy, of let me see, overwhelm because I have a story. Is that it? That I've had a longing for depth, deep connection, and it's coming at me so strong. So I'm at capacity here in the group, but still wanting more.
What's I'm noticing is that it feels like I'm having a baby. And it feels like the baby's coming out really slowly, and it doesn't seems like it's making any progress, but it's not stuck. It's moving really slowly, and it's feels very uh, good and meaningful. Like something I want is happening. It's not necessarily verbal. Uh,
Crispy, when I hear you say you feel like you're having a baby, my self-talk is no, he doesn't.
Darlene, when I hear you say that, I said I was actually squeamish when he said, "I feel like I'm having a baby." I said, "No, you don't," and it really, for some reason, I felt irritated and nauseated. So there you go. There's where I went with it.
I'd like to. Oh, go ahead.
I want to say something too, and I want to leave a little silence though. So I'm raising my hand to kind of, can we just, Crispy, when I heard you say it feels like I'm having a baby and the things you said afterwards, tears came to my eyes.
Crispy, when I heard you say that, I was squirming in my seat from, let me see, it's like there's a part of me that wants to say, oh yeah, I'm not a woman, so I don't know what that's like, but it seems so apt. Something is happening that's painful and delightful at the same time. And it feels like something's coming into the world that I really want. And it's happening slowly. So I had another experience very strong. I was squirming in my seat because you were describing my experience again. So there's discomfort in another body is describing me. Feels weird inside, but good.
Neil, when you just spoke, because I was squirming in my seat, I think maybe I spoke too quickly, and I would like to rephrase or re-speak whatever the word is I'm supposed to be using, because the actual truth was I was trying to make an intellectual thing out of what was happening to me physically. And physically, I was squirming, and then in my mind, I was judging and unsure of what was happening. And when I hear your definition of what Chris was saying or your understanding, I feel more resonant, and I can more accepting, and my body has calmed down. So thank you.
I notice my attention is on Robert. I'm still wondering what you were going to share.
Well, actually, it's gone from one thing to another. Initially, I was thinking about intentions, but the what was brought up here is, I think, is a really interesting one, because it's Crispy. When I hear you speak of an experience, there's a part of me that felt that, oh my goodness, as a male, I'm not allowed to use certain words. You know, it's forbidden for me to have that sort of experience, and that if I say that, I'll get into trouble. I'll be chastised by genders saying, no, you don't understand, fill in the blank. And I noticed my first response is to kind of be quiet, to accept that, yep, that's right, I need to be quiet. But it's kind of like, wow, that's actually, an area where I find that I feel my voice is silenced by cultural norms. And so when you said it, I thought I had both a feeling of, ooh, I wouldn't have said that, but then a real kind of kindness saying, I think it's a pretty human experience, of the birth that you're trying to describe. It may not be, the tearing of the vaginal mucosa, which I can't experience, but I think I can understand the pain you're trying to deliver.
Hi, Neil. I'm so glad. I'm not certain, Neil. I'm sorry, Robert. When I hear your sense that, when I hear you speak the words of how you don't want to say anything about birth, that you feel, I'm paraphrasing, that you're afraid, or you don't think you should be talking about that. I have felt that way my whole life about genders, because everything is male oriented. Every book, the Bible, all the book, all these books are gender oriented. All our religions are masculine, and so I have felt as a woman totally incapacitated and not able to do anything but bear children. So it's like I'm fighting for the one thing left that women have been given a right to do. So that's where I'm at.
So, Robert, when I was listening to you share, and when I was listening to Crispy share, I was struck by the change in tone of the Zoom room, right? When it was said, as I noticed everyone shifting, who was reacting in what ways. And while, and Robert, when I hear you say that you are not afforded the same set of emotions that women are, I agree with you. That is a fact in our culture, in our society. And Barbara, when I hear you say that everything for so long has been framed through the male lens, that it's like, just let us have this one thing that you hold us up for anyway, right? I am struck by the ubiquity of patriarchy.
Galina, when I hear you say, actually, I want to start with Barbara. Barbara, when I hear you say this is the one thing, you know, and all the male domination and through in so many ways culturally, this is the one thing that we have. I felt tenderness and clarity and relief. Yes. So I want to express my appreciation for that. And Kalina, when I heard you say, actually, it's just the word patriarchy, I noticed I was triggered. And my self-talk was story, that's a story, not a fact. And my heart is beating faster. There's something underneath that's, I feel embarrassed to say something where I have a sense I've got a lot of blind spots around this. I'm a white man, so I'm in a house of mirrors, even going towards this.
Hi, I am so happy that and elated, Kalima, that you used the proper language that I can't remember anymore. And I feel embarrassed that I don't seem to be able to pick the right words, but you said it so profoundly, and I appreciate that so much. And Neil, I want to say to you also that I really appreciate your tenderness and your actually not rejection of the patriarchy, but you don't seem to me to be that patriarchal type of person. I see you as a very tender, loving, kind person, and I'm grateful that I'm in a group with you. All of you, thank you.
I want to share that I'm feeling uncomfortable in my body, like a heat coming up and a little shakiness. I want to share something about myself, what comes up. When Barbara, when you said everything is in male terms, the books and things, I truly appreciated you imagining a feeling of, understanding what you're saying and connection, and the little bit also with, as the word patriarchy and other, things from Kalina, I was like with you as humans. And at the same time, I want to confess, I generally have a trigger around big generalizations, but I mean, I get it. And so I sat with myself and I realized I feel disconnected from the typical female experience is a story I have. I'm going to tell you a story I have about myself. Ever since I was about 10 years old, I looked around. I remember having this thought at 10, it's better to be a girl. Boys have to fit in some kind of a narrow stereotype, and I'm a tomboy. I can do all the boy things and I can do all the girl things. And I'm, and I don't mind the girl things either, dressing up pretty. How lucky am I to be a girl? And I've felt that all my life. So I always feel, this is a generalization, but I'm going to stand by it, a little out of it when everybody hear all this. I mean, whenever I'm using generalizations, I know there's a trigger inside of me somewhere. So you can hear it, and I'm just revealing it. Trigger about feeling left out.
Susan, I really appreciate you sharing that and that perspective. And to take it back to something that Barbara said about the language that I use, I do try to use my language really specifically, right? So that I can convey as much of my message as possible. And I have to say that as I said it because I just simply saw it as a fact, right? I just saw it as a fact, right? The fact that so many men feel that they can't have a full spectrum of emotions is, you can tie it to what we've all defined as patriarchy, right? But when I heard Susan speak, I was like, oh, right. And inherently these words are triggered. And what does that say about how I feel about triggering people with only certain things, like my favorite things? So now I have something new to reflect on.
Susan, when you told a story about being a tomboy, and I hope I got it right, that you felt like you had the full range of being a girl and yet being able to do boy things. And is that basically what you were saying? I hope I got it right.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, I wanted to be a priest. And my mother said to me, you can be a nun. And I said, but I don't want to be a nun. I want to be a priest. I was about 8 or 9. And I want to be on the altar giving communion and marrying people. And she said, you don't have the right body part in order to be a priest. And I remember crying profusely that I had to have a penis in order to be a priest. And it's still to this day, there is something about that affects me tremendously. Because not that I want to be a priest today, it's probably the last thing I want to be, but I would like to be able to choose. I would like to have choice. And I feel like my choice has been diminished. And I have a lot of sadness about it. I really do. A lot of grief. And I've gone through many, many, many years of this grief. So.
Barbara, when I hear you share your experience, I feel that sadness for that little girl who was told she couldn't use her heart and her gift in the world. And I feel devastated for her. Thank you for sharing that.
I resonated, or Susan, when you described your experience growing up, I felt delight. Images of my granddaughter, just, she's got the world at her feet. That just like, that's so wonderful. That's so life affirming. And then Barbara, when you shared your experience, that was just like hit me in my chest. And I notice now as I'm speaking some anger towards her mother and the society that is still here,
Yeah.
but was much worse before, but it's still here.
I think it's time for our checkout round. So let's just see if we can shift gears. Take a breath together. And I suggest we check out in the same order that we checked in, starting with Kalina and then Barbara, Neil, so forth. And I'll go last.
Susan, sorry. Is there a particular,
Yeah, let me give you the prompts. Is that what you're going to ask?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I realized I didn't do that. It's what are you chewing on? What impacted you most? What's your takeaway? Any of those?
The answer to all three of those questions, the thing that I'm chewing on, the thing that impacted me the most, the thing that I'm taking away is that I have said for a long time that sexism hurts everyone. It truly does in so many different ways. And so watching this conversation play out and the desire for it to be different seems inherent in the conversation, to want for something better. That's like a renewed milestone or goal or kind of beacon point, right? Of it's important to call this stuff out whenever you see it for this reason.
This is a lot for me. My heart is hurting and I am really grieving, and I haven't brought this up for, I can't remember how long it's been. And what's coming up for me is I'm in another group, a very large group, and they're working on changing pronouns so that, but to me, that is not the answer either. So let's say we change all the he's to hers. How ridiculous. I mean, to me, it's ridiculous. And I want it to be equal. I want men and women to all be one. I want us all to be a family of brothers and sisters who are equal. I want us to be black and white. This is really a big issue for me, and I didn't realize it till today. And so that's what I will be working on and looking at. And I'm grateful that I was able to bring it up today, and so grateful to hear everybody, and especially Susan, to hear your response as a tomboy. I really appreciated that, and I appreciated all of you. So thank you so much, all of you.
So I'm taking away two big things, many things, but there's two that are most alive for me. One is this about female freedom and male limitation. And what makes it poignant for me is my grandchildren, my grandson and my granddaughter, and seeing that my granddaughter can wear dresses and pants, be interested in dolls and trucks. That's okay. But there doesn't seem to be the same freedom for my grandson. And then I get confused about that because male privilege is a reality. So I'm chewing on it. That's something that I'm chewing on. Another goes more to process. Susan and Barbara did something that I'll be chewing on and wanting to bring myself, a way to bring in personal history concisely, that takes me to depth with them and the group also. So I just really appreciate that modeling. I haven't seen it before. So well done. It had a big impact on me.
One of my takeaways, I want to clarify, Susan, if I could, a teaching point. I think you said generalization is indicative of a trigger. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, I was demonstrating it in how I was using it inadvertently. I observed myself using generalizations in a way that, for me, it was obvious that I was triggered about those things. I am not going to stand behind a generalization that says, if you're generalizing, you're triggered. However, take a look. I would say that. Take a look at what's under there.
Thank you. I appreciate that as a coach. Thank you. My other takeaway as far as the group is I have this like delight that my sort of silly comment about having a baby spurred this incredible conversation, and that I don't feel guilty for causing some triggers by expressing that, and feeling tremendous gratitude for a space that can hold all of it, the silliness, the trigger, the depth, everything that I've experienced here with you all today. Thank you.
Darling, listen to you. I want to add to what you're saying. I have a real sense of wonder for this group, of where it can go from being quiet to really trying to grapple some very difficult issues, and kind of real appreciation for it. The gender discussion has so many sides and so many triggers, and to try to slowly peel even just a small layer away, how challenging that is. And I think we as society have a long way to go. I mean, I remember Crispy and I, with our last salon, we're talking about how gender issues are hard to even broach without it quickly devolving. So this group is an amazing group. And I want to give appreciation to all of you.
My turn?
Yep.
Good. I'm feeling quite perky, and it happened when I was thinking about saying the statement about the baby, and I thought, oh yeah, you can't say that. There's three ladies in the room, and I went, well, that's how I'm feeling, and if they, say something, I'll let them play their part. Why not let them play their part? Why not just? And and when it happened, and you guys felt comfortable enough saying things, I felt really delightful. I wasn't smiling because uh-oh, I was covering something up. It was like, okay. And yeah, I remember Robert and I talking about the gender dynamics in the group, and here we have three ladies and three men here, and I used the word ladies, and then Susan, and I have a friend who doesn't like me to ever use that word, so I apologize if, however, I should say that. So we have four females and three guys. Anyways, there's some balance, and there's ability to talk about things, and I'm really delighted that it flowed the way it did, and it feels like there's also a lot more ripeness. It felt like the conversation really shifted gears when we did that, and I was really, I definitely shifted gears. So I'm gonna take that away, let someone else do their part, and it won't. It could have been a lot. it could have been difficult, but in this group, I was willing to take a risk, and it felt like it paid off real big.
Well, what I'm going away with is a feeling of appreciation, something like what Darlene expressed, all the different levels that we could contain today. I do want to respond, Neil, to how do you bring in a story in a group like this so it's present and has an aliveness to it? And I think the key is, here's something coming up right now that I want you to know about me. So any of you who are thinking, I'm going to give a facilitation tip now, because so much of the time in a group like this, somebody will just launch into a story, and I'll just say, Nancy, could I pause you? When I'm listening so far, I'm hearing this, I'm getting the feeling that you really have a desire for us to know you in that way, or for us to hear this. Can you experience that here and now with us? Okay, and then continue or acknowledge that or something. So, I do some sort of therapeutic intervention type things when I'm a facilitator, but that's how I do it. It's a challenge. But there, I'll just be out with my teacher hat on. Thank you for today, and to be continued.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye.